fellow cyborgs, today I would like to talk with you about my 2017 Book-olutions. So as you may have heard in previous videos, in 2016 I'm hoping to get my physical TBR down to 0 or as close to 0 by the end of 2017. So this is my main Book-olution. My Goodreads physical TBR shelf tells me that I have roughly 120 unread books on my shelves. There are some things that aren't quite on there and some things I might have forgotten are there, but in any case, I've got roughly 120. If my books average out to 300 pages, and there are 365 days in 2017, which fingers crossed there will be, then I will have to read roughly 100 pages a day to achieve my goal, and I will have to read about a book every 3 days. Now, obviously, I have some books that are significantly shorter and some books that are significantly longer, so we'll just have to see what happens. I am going to be starting a new chapter in my life in 2017 as well, looking for a new job, so I don't know what my schedule is going to let me do, but needless to say, reading is one of my most beloved hobbies, so I will definitely make some reading happen at the very least. And another aspect of getting the 0 by 18 is not only reading all of the things, but also trying not to buy all of the things at the same time. I think I've been fairly good with my book buying habits, especially toward the latter half of this year. I'm going to talk about that in a separate video. It may come out before this or after, of my books hauled versus read discussion and how much I spent on my books and how many books I acquired. In any case, this is not what we're talking about right now. Right now, I'm going to talk with you about some more definite goals, some books that I would like to prioritize because they either are buddy reads that are coming up very soon, or they are books that I think might be a challenge for me to actually get to. And I also want to talk to you about some rereading goals. So let's start off with some of the books I definitely want to get to in 2017 that I need to prioritize, or else maybe I won't get to them at all. I would like to read at least Persuasion. This is the final book in this bind up, this volume by Jane Austen. The other Austen I have left to read is Sense and Sensibility, but I would for sure like to get to Persuasion, and then this whole book can go onto my read shelf. I would also like to give Little Women a try. I am very apprehensive about Little Women. I've heard that it's very sickly sweet, but other people absolutely adore it, so I need to figure out what I make of it myself. This is a very, very old copy that I've had on my shelf for ages, so I need to finally give this a try. I've been talking about this book a lot recently. This is Roots by Alex Haley. I have yet to start on this at the end of 2016, but I will need to get to this by 2017. It is perhaps the most intimidating book I have on my shelves that is related to my journey through Black literature, and it comes highly recommended from one of my dear subscribers, so I definitely need to prioritize this. In the hopes of finishing a goal in 2016 that I did not achieve, I want to finish reading the Skullduggery Pleasant series. I discovered that I need to reread the books 1 through 7 before I can finish the series out with books 8 and 9, which I haven't previously read. This is book 5, so I've already re-listened to the audiobooks of books 1 through 4, but I need to read 5, 6, and 7, and then finally get to 8 and 9. So this is definitely a project read, but I'm hoping to have a friend help me, and hopefully this can be a series that is concluded with much joy and payoff and awesomeness. So yes. I also have quite a bit of sci-fi and fantasy books that I haven't looked at in ages but have been meaning to read. Tigana by Guy Gabriel Kay is one of the more intimidating ones, but fortunately I will be tackling this with a buddy, Leanne from Literary Diversions, and I'm very pleased to finally do a buddy read with her. So we're hoping to start on this very soon in 2017 in January, and hopefully just knock this beast out of the park and enjoy it along the way. I would also like to prioritize Walden by Henry David Thoreau. I'm going to be buddy reading this in January with M.A. Anders. This is a classic that I'm not sure if it's going to be dry or inviting. I remember Sophie from Portal in the Pages was having a hard time reading it until she reached a certain point and then absolutely adored it. This I definitely need to prioritize, or I will keep putting it off because I'm a bit of a chicken. I also need to get to this beast, which is Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. This is my aunt's copy that she gave to me when she was clearing out some things in her house that she didn't use anymore. I'm am planning on reading this with Acacia Ives in January, and this is just something that I've been meaning to read since it came into my hands 5 years ago or something like that, so it just needs to happen. And fortunately, since I'll be reading it with Acacia, then we will hopefully have a lovely time reading it, and hopefully it won't be too problematic. We'll just have to see. And I also finally want to legitimately dive into this volume of Oscar Wilde's works. I'll be starting out with reading The Importance of Being Earnest with Blatantly Bookish, and that'll be happening in January as well. But I have had this volume on my shelves since I was a teenager, so at the very least, that was 7 years ago. I picked it up because it was an old copy. I think it's from 1931, if I remember correctly. And I was convinced that I liked Oscar Wilde, and then it just sits because it's big in a hardcover and it's got lots of little things in there, and it requires a concerted effort to actually get to. So I'm going to be reading at least one of the plays, hopefully more than that in here, but I definitely need to prioritize this and just take it in chunks, or else it just won't get read at all. And my last priority goal is to read the short stories of John Steinbeck. They're not short stories, they're short novels of John Steinbeck. I believe in my edition, and perhaps in its entirety, there are 6 different stories. My hope is to read one of these a month or one every 2 months. It's a big volume that I need to work on, and John Steinbeck is, in my mind, an author who can do no wrong, but I've only read one thing by him, so we'll have to just test that out for sure. But I definitely want to get to his short novels in 2017 at the very least, if not Grapes of Wrath as well, and I'll have to get to Grapes of Wrath if I want to finish my Zero by 2018. It's fine, whatever, I think you guys understand what's going on. So apart from all of the new books that I need to read to achieve my Zero by 2018 goal, I would like to prioritize some rereading, if only to give a slowing down, less frantic sort of atmosphere to my reading. I have a stack of a few books here that I would really like to prioritize to reread in 2017. This first one here is Villette by Charlotte Bronte. I read this at the latter half of 2016, and I gave it a preemptive 5 out of 5 stars. My reading experience the first time reading it was about a 3-star level, but now that I know exactly what this is, I have the biggest feelings that this is going to beat Jane Eyre as my new favorite classic book. I just really want to reread it almost as soon as possible in 2017, take my time with it, understand what's happening and where it's going to be going, and really appreciate it and hopefully connect with it and Lucy Snow. I also want to reread The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame in anticipation of The Riverbank, a sequel to Wind in the Willows by Kaij Johnson, which should be coming out in May of 2017. But apart from wanting to read that new release next year, which is already being a bad person and acquiring new books in 2017, even if only theoretically, Wind in the Willows is one of my favorite children's classics, and I read it in my 20s for the first time. I'm still in my 20s, but in my earlier 20s. And so I would just like to reread this too. I remember just such joyful feelings, and I would like to get back to them. I also would like to reread To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I had to read this in high school, didn't appreciate it at all because I was not a good English student in high school. I didn't do my assigned reading very well at all. I hauled this in 2016 in my Murica book haul because a character in one of my favorite films adores this book. I also have a feeling that I missed quite a lot when I was 14 and that I could get quite more out of it, out of this very famous American classic. So fingers crossed that I will get to rereading this, but it's almost like reading it for the first time since I don't think I gave it its due when I read it around the first time. And finally, I would like to reread The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I'm up in the air about whether or not to listen to the audiobook. We'll just have to see. I like how reading rather than listening makes me slow down and really savor the story. I find that oftentimes with audiobooks, if I'm not quite focusing, I can just miss things and not go back, which is a bad habit. The Night Circus was beloved by me when I read it the first time in 2015, I believe. I just have such fond memories of it, such cozy memories, that I would really like to reread this and see if the 5 stars still holds and see if I can recapture the cozy feelings. So those are a few books that I decided to talk with you about, even though my main book-olution is the Zero by 2018, so please wish me luck. Also, please let me know in the comments down below what your main book-olutions are for 2017. 2017 and how this new year has started off for you, if it has indeed started. I'm not sure when this is coming out. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you. Thank you for watching. And until next time, continue to be lovely. Thank you to my patrons, because you're awesome and you give me money and that helps me a lot. Peace of mind and whatnot, and making sure that I prioritize this channel, which I hope that you are enjoying. If you're interested in becoming a patron, my link down below is down below. It's down below. The link is. And I wish that I was articulate right now, but I'm not. So I'm going to sign off before I make a bigger fool of myself. And I hope that you all are having a lovely day and reading a wonderful book.